Okay, much love and many blessings. We're getting underway with the Aquarius season wisdom channel messages. So obviously we're starting out with the Aries, the fire sign. In particular, I've been pulling Kali messages across the signs to see what the intuitive messages are for the week. I will say that we're starting with Aries. Obviously, Aries is going to be our fire sign, a very impulsive fire sign. And during the season, one of the messages that are coming up before I even really get into it, seeing Durga Kalika come up is really showing how fiery, how intense your actions are during this time. You're taking a lot of action and it's predicated off of emotion. The channel message that I pulled between Durga Kalika and expanding on that further was with the Ten of Cups. So with my Aries, especially over the course of this Aquarius season and what's built up to this full moon in Leo, there's a show of a lot of aggressive energy. What comes to my mind is not so much about the actions taken, more so than the perception that's motivating the actions. Seeing Durga Kalika come up is really just a strong, kind of like a jihad, like right is wrong, like I'm right and you're wrong, but right and wrong is perspective. You can demonize somebody who's not even wrong and justify your behavior against them, and your actions are not intrinsically correct, but your perception holds you as the angel and them as the devil. So Durga Kalika is fitting because Kali, this is the story of how Kali came into being and being birthed from the goddess of light who needed, and imagine a goddess of light needing help against some dark entity that's so strong that you have to birth something in order to specifically destroy it. So this is also a call that is self-righteous indignation, like righteousness to the point that you feel you're so right that any tool that you craft is justified in the situation. So Aries, during this time, you really want to take account, especially with this full moon Leo, take account of your pride, take account of the actions that have built up to this point. Because if there's things that you haven't been addressing, then you're going to continue to justify your scudded behavior, to justify manipulation, to justify not co-creating, but trying to hold the reins of control, instead of actually looking at why people are coming at you the way that they are. Now, remember that this is alignment across the board. So if you've been moving in good alignment, your actions will be protected, and understand that everything that you've been fashioning will work in your favor. So let's really just tap into this fierceness, because Durga Kalika comes up. She lets you know that she is the representation, literally, of the fierce divine justice and unyielding resolution in favor of the light. So remember, light is relative, and the fact that unyielding is popping up is also letting you know that you've been dealing with matters in which there's been no compromise. It's either I win or they win. She is every method and all means necessary to ensure success of the soul. She is the unexpected victory arising at the very moment when all seems lost, transforming tragedy into triumph. She is our spiritual sun, our light, and our ever-radiant reminder that the darkest night, a new dawn shall always arise. Dare to trust in your faith rather than fear. For every problem that can arise, there are many more divine solutions unfolding even now. So, just to put this into perspective, like within Hindu cosmology, through which Kali is known, life is sustained through a continual balance and interaction between the light and the dark, of that which promotes life and that which destroys it. In one story of Kali's birth, she erupted in a frenzy of divine wrath, catapulted out of the awakened third eye of a golden warrior goddess Durga, straight onto the battlefield to arrest the rising power of evil forces. The battlefield that triggered Kali's emergence is a setting of ancient war between light and dark. This war takes place in our world daily, and often enough in our own minds and hearts. It is a war of choice, where our free will decides which qualities are allowed to become stronger in our lives. We choose to love or hate, trust or doubt, faith or fear. When we want to choose the higher path but find it difficult to avoid being overcome by our lower nature or the negativities around us, the divine brings of love manifests their presence to strengthen the light. In Kali's case, she absorbs the darkness, thereby freeing us from its potentially overwhelming and undermining effects. Kali's birth on the battlefield has meaning. Durga, the unconquerable goddess of light, with the weapons of every divine being at her disposal, had encountered a particularly virulent negative being. Whenever a drop of his blood touched the earth, he multiplied, becoming more and more powerful. When Durga realized a weapon greater than all others was required to beat him, she summoned her energy and birthed Kali from her third eye. Kali is a weapon of light and an expression of love's protective will. Now I want this to come into perspective as well, because Durga, being the conqueror of all evil, literally is the embodiment, is a god, is a higher representation of a tool needed to conquer conquer darkness. And what is darkness other than our insecurities, fears, and any fucking thing that's holding us back from being our best self? And the fact that Durga admitted that she needed help because she was fighting something that not that she couldn't beat it, but it kept coming back up. And every time it came back up, every time the blood touched the earth. So the blood is representative of flow, is representative of the sacredness, is representative of something that is in the DNA. So every time this matter was addressed, or every time it came back up and you cut it down, the blood birthed something new. So the life is in the source. So it's telling you that the reason that these situations keep coming back up is not because you're not capable of thwarting it, but it's like dealing with something that you haven't reconciled because you're not taking a new approach. Just like Durga, who had all these weapons, could pretty much address any dark situation, was like, wait a minute, I need something different in this situation. Maybe what I'm doing, yes, I can keep winning this fight, or yes, I can keep holding it at bay, but I don't want to keep maintaining the same standstill. So this is also confirmation during this time that you're in a battle that is not necessarily that you're not winning, but is that you're maintaining a standstill. You need to address the blood. You need to address the matters. You need to get it before every drop hits the ground, because this shit is flowing and it's sprouting new evils. Every time Durga fought against these many heads that Kali was cutting down, these many heads keep popping up. They're heads of envy, insecurity, jealousy, anything that's holding you back or not letting you enjoy this current moment because you think it has to be a certain way, which is why the Ten of Cups is here. This is affecting you on a deep level. And it's during this time, it's really a reflection that you need to take accountability for the energy put in. You can't avoid this. This energy that's coming up is going to be spread throughout your circles and in your small groups and collectives. So you need to come to terms with how you are shaking up these dynamics and ask yourself if you're awakening to the energy that's been put in. Clearly, the symbolisms of new demons popping up from the drops of blood hitting the earth is a representation of duplicity and resistance to negativity. So you may be resistant to changing your rituals, and this Aquarius season is really going to be a motherfucker for you if you've been being one-dimensional, because doing the same things that you've always done is not going to work. It's time to wake up and take accountability for your actions, because things are being aligned whether you want them to or not. Ashe, and many blessings. I hope this message has resonated with your fiery spirit and will empower you to take this information to do what you deem necessary to do healthy choices and make powerful, aligned decisions and assertive decisions within your space. Much love and many blessings. Ashe.